And let's get to our predictions. Game predictions here for Penn State, Minnesota. Ryan, I do want to start with you on your prediction, and then we'll work our way to Fitz just by canonically how many points Penn State is going to score, not to give anything away. But Ryan, what do you think?
I went 24-17, and honestly, I'm still kind of thinking, like, how is Minnesota going to get 17 points in this game? Easily the best defense they've faced this season. I'm really excited actually to watch Ariante Ursi against Abdul Carter. These are two projected first round picks, and Abdul Carter has been getting a ton of praise lately, and he's deserved it. He's been excellent. It's not just the numbers as far as a tackle for lost sack perspective, but how much of a hassle he is, and hurries and pressures and all those things. Well, he's going probably against the best offensive lineman he's seen this season. Am I wrong with that? Is anyone? Yeah, I can't think of a tackle that he's faced that's more coveted, I guess, than Ursi. So really curious to see how he does. But I also believe that Penn State's remaining defensive linemen, at least certainly the starters, Jay Thomas and Durant and Nittany, they all seem to have matchup advantages. And really, what we've seen from is it Brosmer? Is that how we pronounce his last name?
The quarterback.
Yeah.
Sure.
When he's not under pressure, he's put up some decent numbers. But when he's under pressure, I think his analytics dropped to like 90th or something in the country.
Yep.
Like, it is a massive discrepancy there between what he's able to do with 3-4 seconds of time and what he's not able, or when he has to actually move around and make decisions on the fly. So I think that bodes really well for Penn State. I want 24-17. I wouldn't be shocked if it's more like a 28-14 or something like that. I played it a little bit conservative, but this is a game that Penn State, again, should control in the second half.
Yeah, I lied. Fitz, we're coming to you next. What's your score prediction, and how do you think this is going?
You talk about Darius Taylor and the multi-pronged attack that he can bring to you, because he's done really good on the ground, of course, but receiving, he's got 45 catches. It's just 312 yards. So just
I think
under
he's second with
catch.
50 targets.
Yeah, they throw to him a lot. So Penn State's second level defenders, and if they get that ball out in the flat, Penn State's defensive ends will have to tackle, and he's a good player. So I'm very curious how that happens. I believe someone said it in the chat to throw some screen. It's kind of that we hit that stretch a few weeks ago where you're playing teams that are just going to try and screen and draw you to death, and I think that Minnesota could end up in that avenue, which that's how I would attack Penn State if I probably had the lesser of the two talents. So in terms of prediction, I've got Penn State 31, Minnesota 13. I don't really see a scenario where Penn State's overlooking this one. I know we throw the trap game stuff around, and it is certainly the most difficult scenario / situation that they'll play in the last 4 games. But I think that the focus is clear. Penn State's done a nice job doing that 1-0 mantra every week, and it matters this time of year. So they understand that they can't slip up at all. You talk about the chatter and how much that means throughout the week with the selection show and everybody kind of being down on them. But there's one way to handle that, and that's just by winning. And I think Penn State's in a good spot to do that.
Yeah, and to me, again, you guys have said it all, but the reason Minnesota's in this game is if Penn State does not play their best possible game, because if they do, there's no way that Minnesota can contend with the Nittany Lions across the board. A couple of key matchups, though, that I do want to get to, I guess, in my mind, the defensive tackles against Penn State's interior. When Penn State's interior, especially the right guard and center, are able to play up to the standard of the opponent, there's not really much other teams can do, because you get that efficiency in the ground game, and then suddenly everything else is working. I really like these defensive tackles. I don't think that they're superstars, but Jalen Long-Redding and Devon Eastern are both good football players. 97, he's got quick hands. He's pretty explosive for a big guy. That might cause them some problems, but the way that Rutgers won, they attacked the linebackers, they threw underneath. What does that sound like? That sounds like a Tyler Warren feast day. So unless there's something that Minnesota has done in the bye week to completely eliminate that, then I don't know necessarily. And teams do seem to give Penn State their best shot, especially coming off a bye, and mix things up. So I'm curious this week to see what the wrinkles are. I went 27-10. I would think Penn State can score in the 30s. I just, some of those matchups, if they're able to take away Tyler Warren, we might get into one of those slog situations. But overall, Penn State should win this game. Final thoughts from you guys as we get out of here. Fitz, you got something?
Shippensburg's Anthony Smith has 3 sacks in the last 4 games for Minnesota. He's done a nice job out there. I'm very curious to see how that plays out with him and the chip on the shoulder narrative and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that Penn State should be okay. Just got to take care of business, protect the football, and they've done a pretty good job of that throughout the season. I don't know. Let's just meet back here next week and talk about receivers. How about that?
Ryan, what's coming up from you this week at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com?
Just chipping away at that Maryland list, guys. Here we go. 13 days, 12 days basically now till signing day. So let's see what happens here over the next week. This is their last chance to really host official visitors. And, scholarship counts are rising. They've been incredibly aggressive. All these schools right now are being incredibly aggressive, it feels like, with 2025 recruiting, more so than what we've seen in a lot of other years because of all the changes and, scholarship changes and all that stuff. So going to be a very, very interesting 12, 13 days here down the stretch.
And last live recruiting show today until signing day. So, yeah.
Good point.
I meant to mention this earlier in the show. Appreciate you bringing that up. Next week is our exclusive Inside the Den podcast coming up on Monday. We're going to meet here much sooner than normal. We're going to be recording that and then putting it out at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. So no recruiting show because it's on Thanksgiving, but we still want to give you something, and we want to give you a nice taste of what you can get for that $1 deal at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. Great time to sign up so you can get all that recruiting intel heading into National Signing Day, but there's no reason not to sign up at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. Appreciate everyone here who's listening to the show. Like the video, and as always, I should say this more often, if you're listening to the podcast, please give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, all those things that help us grow that side of the show, which is integral to our success overall. Right.
I was willing to do a show for you guys next Thursday. But
I wasn't.
To get out of my in-laws, I was willing to do a 2-hour show. But
listen, I'm the host. I'm cooking the turkey. I'll be up at 5. We're not doing a show. I'm not posting a show. I am cooking and I am eating and watching football. That's
wait until your in-laws move in the area and they got like 9 kids, and then they make your kids all hyper, and then you want to sleep, but you can't sleep after the turkey. And yeah, it's great. Yay.
Mine live in Utah, and they're never coming out here. So.
Right. We'll try to line up a commitment for next Thursday morning. Somebody will put out a thankful graphic, and then keep ranking.
I'll be texting Greg.
I think Zoe might actually leave. That might actually happen. We've got to leave though. We're out of time. Thank you so much for everyone being here. We got the tailgate show coming up 12:30 on Saturday. Next time I'll be talking to you. We'll talk to you then.